this week on Beyond Strategy for Spiritual Entrepreneurs. And today's topic is all about the 5 doubts that stop spiritual entrepreneurs from getting the results and promoting their business with confidence. So last video, we talked about the role of subconscious programming and the nervous system programming and the role that that plays in our ability to take action, and that there's this whole other dimension beyond strategy on the mental, emotional, spiritual level, energy level, nervous system level that holds us back in a variety of ways, and we experience that resistance in a variety of ways. So if you haven't watched that video yet, I unpacked that in more detail, so you can check out that video. I made it 2 days ago. So in today's video, we're going to talk about 5 types of doubts that spiritual entrepreneurs often face. And this is really, really deep stuff. Like, we're going to go really deep today. So I want you to step out of your head and into your body as I'm sharing this with you, because it's really easy as you hear these doubts to say to yourself, oh, I don't have that issue. That's not something that I'm dealing with. But I want to encourage you to see the truth in it, because in my expertise and my experience working with clients and knowing myself as well, these are fundamental doubts that I see again and again that spiritual entrepreneurs are facing with regards to having to promote themselves and in their business. So I encourage you to have a yes mind, an open mind, and see where is that truth in there for you. And hopefully this will give you lots of insight into that. So the first doubt is that we doubt our place in the market and in the industry, right? How many times have you heard people say, oh, there's too much competition, or there's so many other people out there doing the exact same thing that I do. What kind of role do I have in this place, right? With all these other things going on, all these other people, how can I be seen and heard? How do I have a voice and a position in this place? And there can also be these accompanying doubts around maybe that the way you are or the way that you do things isn't conducive to being seen and heard in the marketplace, right? That your particular style, maybe you're an introvert, maybe you're not as kind of bombastic as some other types of people might be. And so you might feel like, well, I don't know if there's a place for me here, and I don't know if I have a right to be here or that I can make it work. And so what happens is when we have these doubts and limiting beliefs around that, we hold ourselves back, right? So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whatever it is that we believe, our behavior matches that so that it becomes true in the end. So some examples of symptoms or behaviors that we might experience as a result of having this doubt is that we hold back, people don't know we exist, we don't tell people about our business, and we avoid the actions that would establish ourselves as an authority and expert and being more visible in the marketplace, right? Okay, so second one, we doubt our value and the value of our offers. And so you might say to yourself, no, I know that my work is really valuable. I know that people get results and all these kinds of things. Okay, well, what if I asked you to raise your rates? And say, okay, if you know your work is so valuable, if you have such a strong conviction about it, why don't you raise your rates, or why don't you double your rates, right? And so then what happens? Uh-oh, I don't know about that. That's when the nervous system kicks in, right? Okay, now the proof is in the pudding, right? I have to put those ideas into action. And then that nervous system programming, you can really see it and it kicks in. Okay, I don't know about that. I'm not so sure if I deserve it, or I'm not sure if I can command that kind of income for what I do. Even though on some level you do know your work has value, but on a nervous system level, the doubts are kicking in, right? And so some ways that that can express itself in terms of symptoms can be not really being aware of your value and not really understanding or being able to see the value of your offers, not being able to put it into words, and doubting that people will invest with you, doubting that people are willing to pay whatever it is that you charge for your services. The next doubt that's kind of connected to this one, it's our doubt in our ability to have what we want, right? because we're business owners, right? We are the boss of our business. But so much of the time, what I see is that entrepreneurs are designing their businesses around the people that they're working with, or around some concept that they have about the way things should be, rather than what they want them to be. And so they're not creating a business that isn't aligned with them and that gets them excited and enthusiastic. And what ends up happening in terms of symptoms is that oftentimes they end up working way too hard, doing things they don't like to do in a way that they don't like to do them, and undercharging for their services and overdoing it. And another big piece of that too is not taking the support that you need to get where you want to be, right? I'm on my own. I have to do this on my own. That feeling that there's this fixed idea of a certain way that I have to go about doing things, and I can't take the support or the help that might take me in a different direction or help me in some way. So the fourth doubt is that we doubt our ability to take action and manage the consequences of our actions. So that's a kind of a straightforward one. We talked about that more in that last video that I did, about how when we're afraid to take a certain action to create more visibility and promote our businesses more, either we don't take that action, we shut down and avoid and, you know, distract in whatever way that we do that, or when we take the action, it's not effective. And then the other possibility is that even if we do take the action, that we don't follow through so that our intentions become a reality. And we'll talk about that. I'll give an example of that in a bit. And so, for example, managing our consequences of our actions. So let's say you have this idea that I'm going to have a workshop, and if I do this workshop, I'm going to attract a bunch of new clients. Well, I don't know if I want to do that, because what if I have that workshop and then all of a sudden I have a bunch of clients? Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How am I going to handle all these clients, right? And so even though we want that success and we want to have those clients, there's a part of us that's actually afraid of what's going to happen and how are we going to deal with those consequences. And that's a very real thing. You know, we go through this. Okay, and the last one is that we doubt what we have, that we have what it takes as ourselves. You know, this is more of an image thing, like our sense of identity. You know, do I have what it takes to get where I want to be? Do I have the capacity? Or do I have to be different? And this is what happens. And this is such a pervasive issue that business owners and spiritual entrepreneurs, especially those of us that don't really feel like we identify with this persona of being a business owner, and maybe the money part feels uncomfortable or the selling part feels uncomfortable. We feel like we have to become something else or become someone else in order to be successful in that world, when really we can become more successful by being ourselves and doing it in a way that feels really good to us. And so some symptoms of this are being inauthentic, or feeling like we have to look a certain way, do things a certain way, and maybe we end up forcing ourselves or pushing ourselves into doing something that feels really icky and gross because it doesn't feel right for us, but feeling like that's what's necessary to get where we want to be. And so we end up making choices that are not aligned with who we are and our nature. So that's a whole lot of stuff, right? And these, like I said, these are fundamental doubts that I see again and again in spiritual entrepreneurs. And it's all driven by this subconscious programming that we've carried with us in our whole life, and creates these repetitive patterns and repetitive cycles of self-fulfilling prophecy. So for example, if you believe that nobody wants to buy your products, you're going to not tell people about your products, or maybe you won't be so enthusiastic when you tell people about your products, so they don't end up pursuing it. Or even if they do express an interest in it, maybe you don't follow up with them because you think to yourself, well, they weren't really interested anyways, and then the opportunity is gone, right? And so we end up creating an outcome that just confirms that belief system that we had. And this is something that we see over and over again in our lives. It's a pattern that we stay in because it's locked in our nervous system, and it keeps us in this comfort zone of whatever this belief system and paradigm that we're in, this pattern that we're in. And so the good news is you can break out of it, okay? It is possible to break these patterns. These are long-held patterns, and you've probably seen these patterns show up in a variety of different aspects of your life. Maybe on the surface it seemed like it was different, but on a fundamental level, it speaks to these fundamental doubts. And so I wanted to give you a little announcement that tomorrow I'm going to be opening enrollment for my Own Your Brilliance program. And this is exactly what we address in that program. We address the limiting beliefs and the doubts and the fears and all that icky stuff that holds us back from promoting ourselves, from being authentic in our marketing, from doing things and making choices that feel totally aligned with who we are. So we actually enjoy promoting our business. It actually becomes an enjoyable experience that feels really good, and we're doing it in a unique way that only we can do. Because by doing that, that's how we attract the people that are meant to work with us. When we are authentic, when we're being ourselves, rather than trying to be someone we're not, that's when we really shine, right? That's when we can bring out all of that playfulness and all of our gifts start to come out, right? We're not guarded and hiding ourselves so much. So I'll be sharing more about this in the coming days, but I wanted to let you know that I'm going to be opening enrollment starting tomorrow. So if you are interested in the possibility, if this sounds like something that might be useful to you, I'd be happy to speak to you about it. And you can just send me a private message, and I'd be happy to jump on the phone with you and talk with you more about what the program is and whether it's a good fit for you and it's the right time and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so your action step for this particular video is to start to become more honest and self-reflective about these types of doubts. You know, taking an honest look at where are these applying in my life? Where am I seeing these doubts creep in? Even if it seems like a really subtle, kind of tricky, insidious thing, and there's that rational mind that is always trying to say, justify, like, no, that's not true. I don't feel that way. It's that part of us that kind of wants to find the solutions and to overcome. And in the body, though, that is where the subconscious mind expresses itself. So get into that feeling and think about those. Another way of doing that is to really reflect on those moments where promoting your business or taking some actions in your business was challenging and it was scary and it brought up lots of emotional stuff for you. That's a good place to start, looking at those moments. What were the doubts that were coming up for you in those moments? Okay, so see for yourself what those are and what those patterns look like. And I'll be back tomorrow with the 5 types of confidence. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.